It's okay. You can be honest. You are an XP hoarder. You are amongst friends. We will not look strangely at you. We know you hoard XP across all boards.
I really do, though. All my characters have XP I haven't spent yet, except for right now with Hestia, because I just spent them.
We have a girl like that in our table game.
Is it you?
Well, no, I hoard XP because Haley never learns anything.
Well, I thought you learned how to get very high in front of friends.
Well, she's already good at that, so.
Are you talking about Miss Luna?
Yeah. But she does that with every one of her characters. In Star Wars, she had like 200 XP she hadn't spent. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, she waits for her other half to tell her how to spend them.
No, you know, the family that slays dragons together stays together, right?
Well, in this case, they're trying to, keep their humanity while being sent out on missions to collect humans for the circulatory system. No big deal, right?
Heck, humanity. Why do we need it?
Several reasons. Several reasons. Which the next time Hestia is alone with a particular paramour will be driven home.
Which one?
All of them.
Either of them.
Hestia has a type.
Yeah, there's definitely that. There's definitely
All
the
dark and broody.
dangerous.
It's a type we frequently associate with, too.
All dark and broody.
Alright, so aside from the not quite realized, agreed upon terms of continued trade with the Samdi of Dalton, or better known as Thornton Township, are there any other questions?
I think I realized, I just don't remember. I remember everything else, which is good for me because I didn't listen to the game this week, and usually that's how I know what happened last week, by listening to it again before we play.
Yeah, I've been running behind. I gotta get last week's episode up, and I have one from both other of the legs of our little conjoined but different and disparate chronicles from Gary and Thornton Township. But I will hopefully have time to get most of them done tomorrow and get them up before Friday, so that we are all but caught up.
Well, it's not your fault I didn't listen. Well, I didn't even know that it wasn't an option. I just didn't even attempt to today, so...
Yeah, no, it's Wednesday. This is our day to chillax and relax and look forward to all of the exploits of the shelter. So... deals made, roughly agreed upon terms. But the pressing matter still remains connecting with the Voavad. And when we last left, the shelter had opened the door to find her and a cadre of armed and clearly skilled individuals awaiting their entrance. There is an offer of hospitality, but there's a sense that that word carries far more weight than the average modern person would ascribe to it. There is a sense that there's some ritualized expectations. There's also the real fact that even with Silvio perhaps acting as a bullet shield, or more accurately a bullet magnet, that with a number of forces aligned against you all in this doorway, that making it away or pushing forward could very well be the defining difference between whether they find out if second death or the second bite of death will be permanent. And as she stands and the Coterie has a decision before them, enter of your free will and acceptance, or play Ding Dong Ditch. Oh, sorry about that. We've come to the wrong castle in the middle of nowhere. Forgive us. We'll be on our way now. And with that briefest of brief recaps as to where we actually are in the moment from our last episode, I'd like to say that this is officially Soup City Sins Season 13, Season Finale, Soars Like toFester. And as per our usual, we will start in either alphabetical or anti-alphabetical order, and so I believe that in light of our present situation that we should start in anti-alphabetical order.
Damn it, we always go backwards. All right, I'm ready. What are we doing? I stab it.
There's no magic missile to attack the dark in this particular case. Sophia is now standing with the honor guard for the Voivod of the South, for the gathered facet of the military strength and skill of the Voivod. The deal recently struck up with the Sandi of Dalton hanging there in the air. They merely want you to negotiate a time for them to be free of all local politics, to sit down and entertain and be entertained by the Voivod. It's a small request in the grand scheme of things, but as is always the case when dealing with kindred, not just the letter of the law, not just the fine print, but the spirit of it is what matters. There's clearly another shoe hanging in the air. There's clearly some other plan, or more accurately, as it doesn't pertain specifically to you, and you haven't been enlightened what the details of the matter are, some other plot afoot.
Fair enough. Well, I will accept hospitality and come on in. I have things to do here.
Sophia, one well-manicured hand against Silvio, steps forward, gently maneuvering him without applying any pressure whatsoever, so that she might have full access towards she, the captain of Decibel's guard. Proclaiming that she will accept hospitality. And Miriam, watching this happen, as a tattoo artist, it's not often that you actually have to look at a gun or an armament pointed directly at you. You use, visual reference from time to time. But having it pointed, having it aimed and ready, having it be there with you in the person instead of just a picture of it, there's a certain feeling involved there. These are men and women who have no reason to view you as anything more than a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon who stopped by to take their time and proselytize their particular gospel, whether you want to hear it or not. This is the unaccounted for persons with armaments that have no reason to view you as anything but a bother.
Miriam will put on her most winning smile and make a little bow and follow the leader.
So Miriam smiles and bows and steps in behind Sophia, a clear indication as to whom is what and what will precede them. Lucia, watching it happen, you've been in this state far too many times in recent years, especially in the last few years of operating with and out of the shelter. Being on the wrong end of people you don't know who have every intention, or at least the skill to support their intentions of doing graphic and grievous harm.
And Lucio is going to handle it the way he'd like to say that how he handles it normally, but let's be more honest here and say how he would prefer to handle it, even if things don't always end up working out that way. Calm and collectedly, he's going to also follow the leader, accept the hospitality, and basically follow Sophia's lead in this. And quick point of clarification, did we actually bring a housewarming gift? I know that was discussed, but I don't recall if we acted on that.
We have the lovely blood wine from this meeting.
Excellent. Thank you for reminding me.
So holding the bottle aloft and attempting to view this as a strictly non-physically diplomatic moment, you step forward. In the doing, another point of skill is displayed, because there's no words, no patting down or any such thing. Instead, you notice they do the same thing with Sylvia. One of them simply extends their left hand as an occupational feather of honor. You know, game recognizes game, as it were.
I'm assuming they are asking to hand over all our weapons.
It would be a very fair assumption, based on they're using their left hands without closing the distance and keeping a clear line of fire that would not perforate a friend or ally.
Lucio will hand over the magnum and the ammo he keeps with him.
And there's a funny thing being presented with individuals who are bristling, who are outright overbearingly loaded for combat or violent contact. The idea that they would need to or ask for your speaks volumes, as well as the fact that it's not a simple handing over from Silvio. It is a look towards Sophia and an unburdening. Now, the average firearm weighs about, at the outside, 2.5, 3 pounds. He easily has about 10.5 pounds of weaponry on his person. In the final count, there is literally just a pile on the floor at the gentleman's boot as Silvio shrugs and steps forward. And while that's happening, Hestia, do you decide to bring up the rear or decide to head back to the vehicle?
Hestia is curious about this bodyguard lady because she's heard stories. So, it's best for her to head in, and knowing that out of everybody, she looks probably the least dangerous. She's gonna see whether or not they ask her for her weapons or not. So it's just kind of following along, looking around, and smiles at the much taller Blasian woman with her arms crossed and gives her a nod and trundles past, trying to, like I said, look as harmless and cute as possible.
There is an old Disney cartoon, Legend of Robin Hood, with foxes and other anthropomorphic animals taking the place of one of the more popular edited, remixed versions of the actual legend of Robin Hood. There is a hen that is proven to be considerably more dangerous than expected when dealing with various larger, heavier, anthropomorphized animals and guards. And it's that understanding that was taught, that was bred into people who paid attention to such things at a young age. And that view and that skill is apparent. And as Silvio is unburdening himself from a significant amount of weaponry that did not break the lines of his suit, did not seem to otherwise reveal itself, that there's a hand offered, a left hand, a simple gesture. One could misperceive it purposefully as the offer of taking one's hand or offering an escort, but the fact that there are guns leveled at you in the process of doing so changes the idea that it's not being asked to dance or be escorted forward. The question is, what is it that Heshit does when that simple, unspoken request is made?
She smiles and unclips the wrist sheaths from her jacket and slides them into a hand, and then looks at the person holding out their hand. One small thing. While it's a weapon, it's also a magical item, so I prefer to keep it on me, because if somebody else touches it, it might ruin the magic, and I'd have to fix that, which would be fairly expensive.
The young Asian lady who is hand extended nods. But can you fix it?
The person that helped me create it is no longer in existence, so probably not.
Perhaps what did they call it in the olden times? A peace tie, a strap of leather to keep it from being drawn easily?
Or a box that I can put it in and know that nobody else will touch it. I'm willing to do that.
Or could they just put on some gloves?
No.
They look from one to the next, and she simply just quirks her lips, moves past to the front, and in doing so, she taps the young Asian woman. 3 of the men gathered fall in behind her. She motions with the barrel of her rifle back towards the door.
She's just going to kind of wash all this with curiosity.
I think perhaps they're asking you to leave. Could we lock it in the car, perhaps?
Did you guys hear that, or was I muted?
You were muted.
Nothing.
So taking that hint, she turns on her heel, goes back to the car, and locks it in the car securely, assuming that she's probably going to be followed out, so that they make sure that she locks it in the car and then she comes back.
There is a funny thing about being followed by people with weapons that you don't know. There's a natural paranoia that falls over one. Am I walking normally? And do I seem weird? Is this weird? Is this out of the... Because in all of their time when dealing with the actual governing body of the city, there's a very real, driven home fact. There's nothing that they, individually or together, could do that would actually engender any risk to the government. None of the times where they've attended Elysium or the Amethyst Party from Stryker, or when they were called in front of the government to answer for their crimes, not once were they asked to divest themselves of weaponry. And somehow, in the realization of that, it's even more demoralizing. Because Hestia understands what she could do with her sacrificial dagger, with her ceremonial dagger. She understood the magic she could bring to bear. She understood what she very accurately could do. The risk, the true weaponry that was at her disposal was that dagger and her vitae. The guns, the knives, the daggers, even the hand cannon that Dizzy once used, while dangerous, were not hidden weapons, were weapons that could be technically accounted for. But the danger of her knowledge, the danger of her magic and her blood sorcery was something that very few could actually account for. And not once, in the far too many times of being called before them, even when they threatened their very lives, they were allowed to stand there on trial with all the weapons they could bring to bear.
I mean, it's a little irritating to her, and she kind of understands, but at the same time, it's not like she's completely harmless. There's still access to her blood that she could give herself, and they can't really tell her she can't have her blood, no, can't she?
There are ways to divest people of their vitae. There are ways to do all manner of weird and interesting things. But it's not so much that she's being divested in this moment that stands out. It's the fact that in the places where an attack, if successful, would not be a murder, it would be an assassination. The very ideal of an assassination is that you have ended the life of something or someone important. Whether you've assassinated the symbol of the People's Liberation, whether you have killed the speaker for the people, or whatever else they title that they heap upon themselves. In the doing and in assassinating the person, in murdering the person, you assassinate the ideal. Hestia and her coterie have stood in front of beings where there wouldn't be considered a murder, where their actions, if successful, would be considered an assassination, and yet they were allowed to come in bristling with all of the weaponry at their disposal. They were allowed to stand in front of beings who are captains of industries without ever having revealed their faces. You were allowed to stand in front of beings that their final death would create vacuums in the city. Fully loaded for bear, fully capable to bring your absolute worst and most impassioned abilities to the fore. And there was not one consideration of that, or at least there didn't seem to be one consideration of it being a valid, viable risk. And all the things that they've done, and all of the instances where the Coterie has had the opportunity to either directly or indirectly end things, end beings, end entire centuries of life stolen. The undeniable fact is that they were not considered dangerous, even doing the impossible time and time again, even surmounting odds that should have been self-fulfilling prophecies of defeat, and surviving them and coming out the other side stronger for it. They were not considered viable threats. But here they are. And as you all reconvene and are escorted further into the funeral parlor, which is, for all intents and purposes, an actual castle, you pass through a large room that is clearly the place where parties are held. Grand events. It's not quite a full-fledged ballroom because there's no chandelier and the floor isn't tiled with, Italian marble and all of those fineries, but it is clear that this room that you pass through has held, if not heads of state, if not heads of state, at least captains of local industry, mayors, representatives, block captains, that sort of retinue, that sort of crowd, that sort of congregation of people. It is clear, based on how well the floors have been polished and how immaculately everything has been stored, that this place that you are passing through is there for the purpose of entertaining. And yet you're led through it. You're led further into the building. You're led through hallways that were clearly designed to be a maze. There's a left here, a right there, a left and a left, and then a right there. And it is designed purposefully, much like old castles, to ensure that any invading force has their strongest hand, at least the most standard strongest hand, in the worst position possible. Your right wall is always problematic. It's always in the way. It's always preventing perhaps a full draw of a sword or getting a clear shot around a corner or down the hall. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, a very real example as to the mindset of the person behind it. Because one, the technology is significantly old. Two, most people don't live in places they expect or count on others invading. And finally, into far too many moments, because at a brisk walk, it's literally 3.5 minutes from the front door to where you all are inside the building. But it seems forever. We live in such a microwave age. Even the kindred, who are all but impervious to the actual ravages of time. We live in the now. We live in a culture and a society where things happen immediately. They happen faster than immediately, and if they happen a second too long past now, they are late, and we have lost our patience. We rail, and we rage. About 3.5 minutes, and you're in a boardroom of sorts. There's a long table covered in a runner with a centerpiece which opens and flows as if it is in fact a watery dragon. The skill and the glass blowing necessary for it evident. And standing at the far end of the room is a gentleman that could best be described as of Slavic origin, dressed in a long coat his clear livery upon him, that being the brown earth tones and gold that the other men and women are wearing in their ensemble. To his left is a gentleman equally as Slavic, but with a larger beard and slightly more thinning hair. And to his right is a gentleman that, well, it's best not to describe, because to do so would at once underplay and overstate just how wrong he is. There is a psychological principle that anything that looks too perfectly human automatically starts setting off a fear at the back of the mind, the uncanny valley. And there is absolutely nothing remarkable about that gentleman, yet you are experiencing a vestigial fear and paranoia so succinct, the only way to describe it is the uncanny valley. It is as if the model and design for the perfect face, that algorithm of the balance between things, that perfect symmetry is present, and yet there's nothing outstanding or stunningly beautiful about that gentleman. He's just well formed, almost too well formed. Thank you all for coming. I am Voivod Albo. Welcome. Sit, please.
Thank you for graciously receiving us, Voivod. We have brought to you a gift from a third party, your neighbors, the Somdi. She will indicate the bottle, whoever has it at that point.
Yes. I understand. You and Felix, I understand, are resident Zombie. They don't appear as the zombie from everything that I have been taught.
Many things have changed within the clan. The bloodlines have united under one banner. It has done strange things to the blood. It has evolved. Who knows how these things happen? It's mystical.
Yes. So you all are coming for reasons I am not sure of. Yet it would be rude to not receive such notable personages from Chicago. How might I assist you?
Well, we have come for two reasons. The first is simple. The Somdi, as I've said before, have offered this gift that they would like to find a time to sit down with you in a neutral capacity and perhaps come to some amenable agreements about many things. The second I will leave to my comrades here to explain.
Miriam will smile at the trio and once again make a little bow. And she will say, I was referred to you by my sire, Cornelius. You may know him?
It is a common name. Is there something more to your sire?
He is of the family.
You have never seen a person blink more slowly. It is as if somehow, somewhere along the line, his family was interspersed with that of a cat. And instead of it being the perceived, I love you of the feline nature, it is a consideration as to how best to drive the mouse forward, how best to have the mouse dance for me. That clear, predatory consideration. You must forgive my poor education. In the time of my life, your higher education wasn't so easily attainable. It has cost me many things, one of which is the ability to speak around a thing. I have no secrets, and I speak plainly. There are many families. I perhaps know of several Corneliuses, some of which I ascribe a certain familial understanding and relationship to. Others, I would stand their shadow to watch them reel in pain, even long past their second and fourth deaths. Are you insinuating that you are a Samich like myself, and that your sire is Cornelius, the former voivode of South Haven?
Out of character, I don't know. Was he?
Yes.
Okay. She will just nod the one and the same.
This bears consideration. Are you asking for hospitality for your former hounds of Chicago instead of coming here to wage war on the Bahari?
She will look over to Hestia and Lucio. They're they have a request that I am not of the capacity to perform. It's a story that dates back longer than I have known them.
And you are trading on a consideration, one dragon to another.
It is a thing that bears a necessity for discreetness. It is, as I understand, attempting to play sides against each other. Is that right?
That's one way to put it, I suppose.
Hestia finally licks up from the table and nods to the Voivod. Okay, since you prefer that things are plainly stated, which I completely understand, I'm a scientist. I prefer that as well. The thing is, there is a certain group of people that are causing problems for us in Chicago. Not the Bahari. We are not here for them. They're out of Chicago. I don't really care what the hell they do other places. The that certain group of people has also started to root themselves here as well, and it seems that both what do they call it? That's out of character, I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank. The people we just went and saw.
The Samdi.
Oh, okay. Them and the Samdi are at odds with each other and prefer not to share the same space. So, by doing both the Samdi a favor and hopefully gaining favor from you, we will be making everybody happy because we'll be getting rid of that particular group of people. Does that make sense?
This is quite Byzantine, to say the least. What favor are you not? And he looks directly at Miriam. What favor are you not asking dragon to dragon that I honor? And I look towards Lucio and Hestia for notably understood enforcers for Chicago's will. None of the other secondary associations boil down to this. We were prepared for your arrival. The moment that you left the confines of the very white tower, we were aware. We have expected as much directly from you for some time. Though now you say that you are not here to pursue nor persecute the Bahari, who have taken up certain alliances. Your exploits are fairly far-reaching. The last time you all were in our small domain, we lost several elder kindred that will never see the like of again. We lost a local landmark. It was one of the many reasons why we declared our independence from the tower. Despite whatever Geneva had been working on behind closed doors, we, the people of Dalton, declared our independence from both you and the unaligned, the rabble. We declared ourselves our own domain. And so for months, there have been security measures placed so that we might be able to prevent the most assured visitations and predations from the tower. And now you tell me you require a favor and a bit of assistance. I'm not quite sure how best to deal with this. How best to proceed, considering I have no idea what it is that you might actually be asking for. I have no idea how this will affect our relationship with Chicago. I have no idea the inherent risk that is involved. Perhaps we should begin, instead of me simply being your host, and if not confined to the boundaries of blood, an associate, perhaps a friend. I am Decibel Labu, and you are?
Sophia Rossi. Sorry.
Miriam Ashton.
Lucio Darcy.
Hestia Green.
The pleasure is all mine. And thank you for this visit from such notable individuals of Chicago. And as you are clearly not here on official business and are speaking with an associate, Not of greater standing, no. Simply, perhaps, a more enlightened position. I may be able to stave off the decline of mine or a tenuous grasp on humanity with a kindness to be repaid in kind. This gift you have brought, perhaps we should share it. Friends are often made over significant drinks.
I couldn't agree more, and Lucia will bring forth the bottle.
It seems more than fair. It is your gift to do with as you please, but you speak truth.
The gentleman that was to Decibel's right, the all too perfectly sculpted and clearly the handiwork of God on his best day, everything properly in place, everything symmetrical to the point that it is unnerving. Especially being as, without any real effort, he seems to be the sort that would get lost in a crowd of one. His steps are silent on the stone floor beneath your feet as he heads to the buffet, retrieving glasses for each of you. And he sits each one down, serving, of course, from the correct side so that he doesn't have to reach across you to put it into position. And he makes his way down the table and sets one for Decibel and hands one to her, who is standing by the door, while the other members of the cadre of guards have spread out across the room, 5 on one side, 5 on the other, 2 nearer to Decibel than to you, 2 at the far corners of the room nearest the door. She remains implacably there watching. The tall Abraham Lincoln-like gentleman that walked out with her with the steampunk goggles is standing a few feet away, but it is clear who was actually in charge. They are both two sides of the same coin. She by the door and Decibel at the far end of the room. There is some strange understanding of power at play. Some strange ritualistic standing, as if, well, it's all about the showmanship after all, isn't it? And as the glasses are set, they look towards you, Lucia, with the bottle.
Lucia will open and begin pouring for everyone.
The moment that the bottle is unsealed, that rousing decorking of that bottle, because not only is it a twist cap, but beneath the twist cap there's actually a sealed cork that has been waxed just enough to hold it in place beneath the screwed on cap. The moment that both of the tops and lids of this bottle have been removed, the caramel notes are unmistakable. There's a nutty wood scent behind it, and it begins filling the room with the essence, and there's no way to say this, the essence of life. It is as if in the aging of whatever whiskey is inside that bottle, it is clear to you all that here is the ambrosia of continued life, a melancholic sadness mixed with a bright, spicy note of reckless abandon combined with a caloric need to simply be. It is to describe it in one word, if it was food, it would be umami. It is all of the flavors combining in the exact right portion necessary so that when it hits the tongue, you have the essence of flavor. Except for here, that umami is the essence of life, all of its sufferings, all of its victories, all of its quiet moments and loud cacophonous pressures combined into this distilled ambrosia. And for those of you at hunger 3 or higher, it is a smack to the nose. And the beast rouses and immediately begins shaking the bars of its cage.
So Lucio, thankfully in enough control of himself to not want to just drink the bottle down right away, will be pouring into each glass, trying to make it as even as possible for everyone.
Which glass do you start with?
How are they arranged?
Each person has their glass.
He will begin with decibels and kind of go in a circle from there.
So walking the table, you draw nearer to Decibel and no one moves. No outward shows of aggression, but it is clear that the already ready, the already prepared people around the room are holding a breath that they didn't realize they were holding as you cover the distance step after step. When pouring his drink, he inclines his head, and as you move back to pour the others, there is an exhalation of that held breath.
The last drink that Lucio pours will be his own. He'll fill everyone else's first.
And as everyone has their drink, Decibel inclines his head again and stands, Nurok, and raises his glass and takes the first sip and sets the glass down onto the table.
Does anyone else say that as well, or do they all just start drinking?
She doesn't say anything. She spares a razor blade smile really briefly and then begins drinking.
Sophia would try to read the etiquette of the situation, being a bit of an expert on the matter.
Okay, would you be so kind as to roll your intelligence and academics? Without a shadow of a doubt, you know that Norok is a toast. It's like saying cheers or slancha or komai or what have you. It is a to your health.
I see. What language is this? A Slavic language, I assume?
Yes. Stereotypically, if you were to try to pinpoint it, and partially because of, popular culture, it'd be easy to imagine Vlad the Impaler saying such himself. There is a Slavic directness in it, and it's hard to not try to pigeonhole it or try to assign it a feeling. But if you were, there's a blatant brutality and a rejoicing of life there. There's a directness that doesn't cotton any of the softness and the euphemisms that most people use. It is strangely brutal and freeing at once. There's no animosity to it, but there is one of those that it sounds in its pronunciation very much like something a stereotypical movie bad guy German would say, or a movie Russian would say. In my home, we don't get bitten by bears. We bite the bears, or some such. It is that feeling of sheer ferocity. Even in that moment of rejoicing, that moment of cheering to your health.
Well, I will not attempt to repeat it and butcher it and be insulting, but I will reply with whatever the Italian equivalent would be in Italian.
Salute. It would be a salute or a chin chin.
So that's what it.
And as everyone else raises their glass, Miriam, Lucio, Hestia.
To new friends.
To good neighbors, and she raises her glass.
Those who take a sip, those who down half the pour or otherwise imbibe, the moment that it touches your tongue, knowing that many of you can't partake of actual refreshments, knowing that you can't keep down food and beverages, something otherworldly happens. Your taste buds, for the first time in a very long time, are able to truly enjoy whiskey. You can truly savor alcohol, because it is clear what this is. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, the same alcohol that the Samdi had obtained from their source at the Rosie 2. It is just as good. It is warming, and immediately your hunger is reduced by one. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, is exactly what it smells like. It is exactly the fullness of a life combined with the distilled essence of what it means to be a whiskey, to be aged perfectly, to be just as light and subtle on the initial notes and follow through with all of that wonderful, chaotically mixed sweetness and mellowness, that slight burn. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, such a well distilled and crafted beverage that it's a shame, because you know that bottle will soon be not only empty, but whoever made it is unknown to you. So getting seconds or thirds is, well, it is what it is.
with my hunger already having been at 1, what happens? Do I just not have hunger anymore, or does it just stay at 1?
It just stays at 1.
Does Lucio not get the chance to make a toast?
Does he not?
I was gonna say he was gonna toast to a prosperous future, but
Well, we can say he said it, and then Hestia kind of piped in at the end.
And there it is. The weight of it all. The Samdi are sitting on a way or an access to someone who is able to distill vitae into actual beverages and have the best of both worlds while providing what kindred may need. And those of you who are financially gifted or money conscious, you are literally sitting on a way to print boons, which are significantly more valuable than money if used appropriately. You are sitting on a way to engender almost whichever level boon that you can get for it, which, depending on your gift of gab, could be quite a lot. Nothing like having the prince owe you a major boon. Nothing like having your competitor willing to protect you for a trivial boon or a minor boon because you are able to divest them of hunger all in one little glass. The Samdi are sitting on the ability to all but print their money, basically.
It is good, yes. It's a very good gift, I think.
Hestia has definitely got her scientist hat on. She is, while sipping very slowly because she knows she won't be able to hold this down long, is very much taking it apart in her head, molecule by molecule.
and being involved in the blood trade himself, Lucio is absolutely fascinated by this drink. And part of him is wondering, how does he get more of it to sell? The other part is worrying, oh my god, they're going to run him out of business.
Very much so. And for those without the ability to naturally keep liquid sustenance or actual sustenance down, those who have not had a decent meal that didn't come right back out in centuries, in decades, in years, the unbelievable happens. Already bracing for the natural rejection of your undead body. Naturally bracing, immediately preparing by looking for what's the best way to get rid of it before it gets rid of itself. Instead of your atrophied stomach immediately launching into rebellion against you. Instead of that force that exists inside of you immediately kicking it free and trying to evacuate it. There's an absorption. There's that small little digestive gurgle that many of you have not heard in decades. Most of you have not heard in several score of decades. And as the alcohol hits your system, those of you who have blushed, there is a small bit of color to your cheeks. There's a small reddening of the nose. And if you have a stamina of under 3, so 2 or 1, you begin feeling the effects of inebriation.
Oh my, that's some strong stuff.
I'm assuming not, but would a swayable mind come into play there?
It would not.
Then we...
I'm curious. I'm just curious. Does anyone have a stamina 3 or higher?
No.
Just the starting effects. You are what would comfortably be roughly a beer and a shot into a long evening after working a double shift. It hits the spot, but you can already feel the fact that you're probably going to blow some money that you didn't want to. You will probably be overly gregarious to the first couple of people that sit at the bar next to you. You will engage in conversations that you really don't care about simply because you have the opportunity to appreciate that other person. It is the start of an evening you will never forget, filled with memories you'll never remember. It's that when you know that 100 shots will never be enough, and one shot will be all too much if you have another. It's that sort of start. You can feel it happening. If you continue indulging, you know that you will end up somewhere wondering where your debit card is and how do you get home from here? Did you keep enough money for the cab? And Decibel looks from the glass to you, because in his first initial bout, like all good hosts, he took half of the 2 fingers that Lucio poured as a shot, as a initial sip, and never in all of his years has such a thing happened. There is the warming. There is as if the very facsimile of the green fairy herself has come to visit, and he's feeling quite nice. He is in his cups, and that should be an impossibility, even for one such as him. And he frowns, and he looks from the glass to you, and back, from the glass to you, and back. I must say, this is unexpected. You have not sought to unman me for your ends, have you?
Unable to absolutely help herself, Estia bursts into giggles when he says unman.
I can assure you that we are also trying this for the first time. It is not unpleasant. It's a good experience to share in the name of friendship.
Perhaps we should walk. The gardens are this way. Come. There is nothing like being outside of a night like tonight.
That sounds good. Let's all do that.
Miriam will smile and stand up.
And Lucio will follow, briefly stumbling before catching himself.
Lucio! Lucio! Help! I can't get down!
You mean you can't get up?
Look! And she's showing him that her feet don't touch the floor because they're swinging. So she can't
The
get
cat's
down.
fire. He exclaims as Lucio stumbles and as she begins to giggle, whispering.
Lucio will help her to her feet.
Dakus mutia nin fasoli. Alright. Forgive me. It seems as you, my friend, have threw your boogers in the beans. This is perhaps too much for the average kindred.
Oh no, we'll be fine. Just give us a minute.
No, of course I understand. This has made my face fall off. I am not very it is surprising.
It has been some time, yes.
A significant amount of time. This feeling.
Then, has the big bodyguard lady already left, or is she still in the room?
Already inebriated? Which person are you talking about?
No, it has the big bodyguard lady left, or is she still in the room?
And as Hestia asked this to Lucio, what is it that you respond?
Out of character, is the big bodyguard lady still in the room?
All the guards are still in the room.
Then, of course, stop next to her. You're so tall.
Lucio's gonna just pat Hestia on the head and usher her towards the rest of them as they're making their way out.
Come, stop rubbing the mint. We will take a walk through the garden.
Did he say garden? Because fuck yes, Hestia is all about the garden.
Yes, he said garden.
Yes.
Some air may be just the thing.
Especially for this one. Pointing to Hestia.
She is very small.
As soon as Hestia sees the plants, it is literally like a freaking 5-year-old in a toy store. She is off and running and like stopping at all the plants and babbling their Latin names and like asking questions.
I don't know that we should assume what's in the Samitsi's garden right away.
It is a fair assumption. It is one of wildlife that is easily recognizable, and yet, without a shadow of a doubt, there are not any specimens that would not be award-winning. There is not one facet of the flora all around you that would not be the penultimate ideal. It is literally a 1 in 1 million chance to ever be in the presence of such immaculately descriptive examples of their species at this temperature, at this climate. It is still Chicago. It is still Chicago in the earliest of springs. It is cold. It is far too wet. It is literally the wrong sort of temperature for most of these species. Venus flytraps would die during an average Chicago summer, let alone the start of a Chicago spring. You have plants that are clearly poisonous as well as venomous from the South American continent. You have plants that are from completely tropical environments, thriving and growing. You all want favor. Why? What is that you are asking?
I will look pointedly at Miriam because this is her territory.
Version or short version?
Don't take me out of my watermelons. Direct, please.
So, I mentioned earlier 2 birds with 1 stone, yes?
Yes, you were trying to sell me donuts. I, again, want straight, honest. That's...
We have a young lady who has been ordered to be gotten rid of by some means. She is useful. She has information. We don't want her to expire, so to speak. So a more advanced form of plastic surgery, a face swap, so to speak. We have a candidate in mind.
So the people who are seeking this woman, you are trying to throw vapor at them. Do you want to fool them?
Yes.
And your plan to fool them is not to simply make this woman disappear, to have a new face. And of course, I'm mildly offended with the idea of plastic. Did you know the idea for plastic surgery was called plastic before plastic was publicly available? It wasn't an everyday thing. It was not everywhere, poisoning everything. But it was still called plastics. Interesting, yes? Now, I may not be gone on a raft. At least not as much as people assume. And yes, I had planned to make sure that you never leave today, but favor for favor, this is something we can do. Yes? You are fairly honorable. I take it this woman is friend, family, associate, lover for you all.
Family? I will look at Lucio. Family?
Family.
This speaks well of you being able to understand the responsibility of familial piety. But just because I am daring does not mean that I'm a Venus bush. I'm not stupid. I know that this is something of great effort. And while it may be easy for me, there is no amount of risk that can be verified on your part. You are angering someone in what this you are doing. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Many people.
And while I am confident that no one will ever know without significant effort, which is possible, it is an unparalleled amount of risk. But it is a sign for me to have destroyers of cities, the hounds of Chicago, at my beck and call. So one major boon from each of you, or as a group, whichever happens first and whichever happens easiest. I'm a person of my word. I will do this thing for you. This is my cost. But even if this is not amenable to you all, even if this is not something that we will do, I will ensure that you leave safely, because you have not only obeyed and honored the laws of comedy thus far, you have exceeded them. This moment, I have not had the taste of alcohol in so very long. True alcohol, effective alcohol. I have consumed many vats, many vials, many substances in my pursuit of perfection. Of course, their efficacy in opening the doorway to other states of being are denied me. But this is good. And you say you received this from View and Felix.
Correct.
Very well. Return to them with the message they will bring additional bottles that we will not share. We will share one, and the rest are for me. 3 bottles, as well as how I might obtain more. And in the doing, I will offer them association and friendship. They're my citymen. They are my neighbors. They are my vassals and those I lord over. So of course I will protect them. And I will cast my favor upon them if they can provide. However, so as we are clear, I'm also very vengeful. I keep not only my word, but the spirit of it. If they deny me this glorious moment, I will rip the truth from them with everything I may choose. Again, I believe simple, straightforward, understanding all parts, not just some. Let's finish drink, you go on your way. You have Uber, yes?
Well, we have a car, yes.
One should always drive safely. The question begs itself, will you all continue partying until the bottle is empty, or will you take this small reprieve from sobriety as the gift that it is? Or will you ride that lightning? Will you chase that small bit of the dragon that now has been open towards you? Because in the end, the opportunity for being this way for engaging this state of inebriation is not an easy thing. It is something that is few and far between. It is something that, without a shadow of a doubt, unless of course you keep very strong, or at least business operational relationships with the Samdi, you will probably never have again.
Well, I suppose that depends on a couple of things. One, we don't want to overstay our welcome. And two, how far off the sun rises.
Well,
I feel like we should get while the getting's good, because we still have to go tell Lou and Felix they got their audience.
Yes, you're drunk.
So that's still making sense, right?
Yes, and that's the scary part.
the sunrise is far enough off that there are still a few things you can accomplish this evening. You can be back to the shelter or to Sophia's place roughly an hour from when you leave, provided you don't hit any major traffic. And even then, while you'll be pushing it close, you could definitely make it to either or in that time. And that's what taking the streets and not the expressway.
Excellent. Then I am all for staying for one more drink and then getting out.
Seconded.
Sounds good, though I don't know that Sophia will have another drink, but she will certainly stay for it.
So as you all imbibe and finish the remainder of the bottle, which is not as bad as it seems, considering that it is, you know, the 5 of you taking actual full-fledged drinks. There's only so many actual shots in the bottle, but lo and behold, as the evening wanes on, the spirits are loosened and stories are told and songs are sung. You're not quite sure when you learn Romanian, but there were 2 songs that you all are still humming as the car pulls away on its way to meet with View and Felix. In that small drive across Dalton, again, 3.5 to 5 minutes, you have an opportunity to discuss things amongst yourselves.
I feel like we're mostly just giggling.
I feel like at this point Lucio is enough drinks in that he's giggling at what Hestia was saying earlier about her feet not touching the ground, and it's so amusing to him in his drunken state. Hey, Hess. Does that happen to you a lot?
Sometimes. Depends on where I am and what sort of people the furniture's made for.
Does that happen to you at your office?
No, because the chair is shorter.
Makes sense.
One day I'm gonna replace it with a taller chair. And you'll never know till it's too late. and you'll be stuck there.
And as that image flits through everyone's head, some far more humorously than others, you all find yourself easing towards the outside of the church. As while Sylvia was there, he did not imbibe any. He was there, even without the other significant armaments he carries with him. Dad set and determined to ensure that there was some measure of safety for Sophia, and by extension, you all. And as you all ease into the church parking lot, the same church parking lot that the boundaries and wards were sullied and sundered, you all can feel a difference. And with that difference sitting there, not sure what that may entail, we will take a quick 10. It is 12 after the hour. We'll be back here at 22. See you guys soon. Welcome back, everyone.
Greetings.
It's funny. No one cared who I was until I put on the mic.
Hello, I'm here.
Welcome.
So I got these local made like meat sticks, and it's supposed to be cheddar, but I think they sent me spicy by accident.
Well, you know, cheese technology has come quite a few light years ahead. Perhaps what you've obtained is a nice jalapeno cheddar. Or perhaps a ghost pepper cheddar.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's because they're supposed to be cheddar, so maybe it's jalapeno cheddar.
I see.
I'm curious about that myself.
So sitting outside of the church, its grand facade
This
towering over the neighborhood,
is
and that feel in the air,
matter of moments, dirty.
it is without a shadow of a doubt, as you all sit in the lot with your inebriation slowly fading,
Well, that I was sent to
that feel is there in the air, as if there's a
vanished.
shoe or sword hanging over your head waiting to fall. What is it that you all are doing?
You're being assigned to audit us after you try to put our boss away from Marvin. Is that standard procedure too?
Agreed. What keeps?
I will have Silvio shoot a text message to our gracious Somdi friends. Let them know that the deal is amenable and the cost for doing the business.
Does it feel like they fixed the wards, like if they fixed the consecration, or does it still feel unconsecrated?
Would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus blood sorcery?
Wanted to set online public form to letsusswitch.com.
After that case, I thought it would be a good idea to put up some quoted posts listing criminals for hire. See if we can catch anyone else. All under.
No, something worse is afoot. Something far, far worse is afoot. You're not sure what, but there is a pall. One of those situations where you dream of going to a big presentation or to deliver a speech or to give your dissertation, and you're sure you're forgetting something. You know you're forgetting something, but it's very important that you get there on time, and you have just enough time to burst through the doors, get to what you hope is a podium, and find that it's just a mic stand. And you look down at your ensemble and realize you forgot everything from the waist down. In a room full of people who are supposed to be your peers and superiors, who have a fundamental need to not only kink shame, but body shame as well. And you stand before them at the most important moment of your life, completely unrobed. That's the feeling. That you know it's a dream, you know that it's not happening, but it is that feeling hanging over your head.
I'm thinking it's best for me to stay in the car this time. Maybe park across the street, not in the lot. Something feels off and wrong.
Off how?
Remember, have you ever seen the movie Jaws? Well, you had to have it because, like, you're younger. And you know what I mean. So, okay, remember when they're first leaving the dock? And Hooper is, like, having premonitionary feelings, like something they're not going to make it back. That feeling. Or then once they see the shark for the first time, we're going to need a bigger boat. That sort of feeling.
And you think it's safe for us?
I'm not recommending anybody get out of the car, which is why I said I think we should move the car, but, I mean, you do what you feel.
We haven't left the car, correct?
Correct.
Lucio's... Is there anyone outside that could, like, see us right now?
The car? The people
Yeah.
passing on the streets and a few people going inside, but otherwise, no, not really.
Lucio is going to use Oblivion Sight to look over the compound, see if he can find anything from that.
Now, how is he looking?
What do you mean, how?
Well, unlike many, though strangely enough, like most of his coterie, Lucio has the ability to see in a multiplicity of spectrums, to be aware on a multiple levels of this world, the next, and every step in between. So how is he looking? How is he searching and investigating, visually investigating the area around them?
So,
He said he was going to raise Oblivion Sight.
yeah, Oblivion Sight. I'm also gonna, if I can, throw up heightened senses to kind of cover both my bases there. And he's kind of doing like a top-down approach to everything. Like starting from like the tops of the buildings, seeing if he can see anyone or anything that shouldn't be there at the tops, and then working his way down to like the people who are in the crowd in plain sight.
All right. Would you be so kind as... Now, here's your thing. Would you be so kind as to... Because it's assumed that there is an immediate success here. So you're literally getting as high or as low as you would like to. Would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus awareness plus your auspics for heightened senses plus your oblivion?
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot.
Hold on. Does a specialty in concealed objects apply here?
Oh, of course.
Oh, fuck. That's a lot of dice. That's a lot of math. Hold on.
And the difficulty is 17.
6, 7, 8. You weren't far off. If I'm doing my math right, I have 15 dice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, of course.
No!
Hestia, would you be so kind as to roll your resolve plus blood sorcery for me?
I have 1 hunger, and of course that's the one that comes up as a 10.
Could be worse.
Oh.
Dag Crit Brothers.
This is... Alright. So... there is a fundamental principle. It's... that's always at work. It's much like working with modern technology, you know, your internet, for instance. Your internet, you can't reach out into the internet without it being able to reach back through you. And there are certain things you can do to protect your privacy and your information. And you establish your VPN and you put up a firewall and you do all of those sorts of things to protect. However, that window out is also very much a window in. And it is an aphorism that has been spewed forth by mankind for so long that it's taken as a truism, because it in fact is. One cannot stare into the void without the void staring back into them. And every moment, every instance, when one lets the powers of this world and the next know that they can see them, it's like opening your front door and screaming, I have no security system and I have a lot of valuables. Because while it's true that doors and locks themselves are only functional against the honest person, if someone really wants to surpass them or to enter into your place, they will. But honest people typically look over it and move on. And dishonest people typically consider how much work it is to surpass them, to surmount that defense. However, with the door open, with the valuables there on display, well, there's not too many honest people. Too many honest people when all chips are down. I can get better by using your things for myself. Why wouldn't I? I'd be a fool not to do so. You live in this neighborhood and you have that much wealth and you have no defenses. That's the situation that Lucio finds himself in. That's the thing that sits there, opening himself up to that realm and all of the denizens therein. It's just that it's an opening, it's an invitation. Luckily, or unluckily as the case may be, Hestia had foreseen and had laid certain protections for Lucio to attempt to stave off any untoward attention. However, much like a recovering addict, there's a certain amount of failure inherent. There's a certain amount of backsliding and relapsing that is inherent. There's a certain amount of needing that risk, no matter how poor the rewards might be, that exists there, because that exists there calls to him the ability to know, the ability to solve those questions, to have information that is enlightening. It's too addictive of an option to not give into, at least a little bit. And in the doing, as he stares towards the church, starting at its peaked tower roof, and he watches as the sky looks as if someone has torn it asunder, as if they poked a hole in a large blanket that exists over the world, a membrane, if you will, allowing all things to enter and exit at will. As he sees the vast quantity of things that are clearly have never been human, have never existed in this world, moving to and fro, he is reminded of redwoods when the spirits gathered because they knew there would be a death. And he thinks, was there a death here recently that those number of souls and spirits from the other side could have been? Oh, but there was. And now they have access. They have free passage. There is no border patrol. There is no security in place. And they are flocking through this tear in the very fabric of reality. And he's the only one that they know can see them. And they began crawling and surging forward, moving through the permeable physical constraints of the limousine, drawn by the darkly cast light from his eyes, him summoning the essence of all anti-life, him summoning forth the very spirit and essence of oblivion, is like him lighting a torch in pitch blackness. He is the source of light. He is the way forward. They have access to this world, and he is beckoning them home. He is guiding the planes down the runway. And as they surge forward and pile upon one another, trying to get to him, offering themselves unwillingly to larger, more predatory spirits, being divested of their continued existence as they attempt to devour him from the inside, seeking a way in. And while Lucio's looking out the window, his eyes not being his eyes, just shadows of themselves and the essence of darkness sitting there, you all watch as his body constricts, contorts, and begins to convulse as if he is having a seizure, as if he is being assaulted. And that strength, that unbridled strength that you've seen tear through most things living and many things dead, is tearing upon itself. It is working against itself. His undead muscles straining and tearing and reknitting, all as he convulses and shakes, and there's a gurgled scream as his fangs descend, as a certain feralness crawls over him in the midst of these violent spasms. There are two ways you can deal with this mounting possession, Lucia. There's a difference of 5, which is a huge number of successes. You can attempt to mount a defense, summon all your inner strength, and try to close that distance of 5. Or you can spend a willpower to pick a target of opportunity instead of giving complete control to what's claiming you from within.
I'm not entirely sure I fully understand what the difference between the two would be.
Well, if you mount a defense and you fail, you have no control. You have no choice of targets. It is going to be the closest, and then the next closest, and then the next closest. If you pick a target of opportunity, you have an action that you can, while attacking, declare something, or yell out, or otherwise engage with your coterie.
So basically, Lucio's frenzying is what I'm getting at?
Well, the being taking him over is frenzying, but yes.
Okay. So if I go with the mounted defense option, are you saying that I have a difficulty of 5 to beat?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
I'm guessing it would have been more if Hestia hadn't
Yes.
warded his clothing
Yes.
and got a 5, yeah.
Oh. What would I be rolling if I'm mounting a defense?
Resolve plus composure.
Oh, fuck. If I roll that, can I use a willpower if I'm not satisfied with the results?
Yes. Yes, you can.
I will mount a defense. Every letter I'm typing here is painful right now. I just want everyone to know that.
We have faith in you, but not the dice.
The dice are on my side.
Excellently done. You were able to shut it down. You know that there's something that you've carried with you for a very long time that has sought this moment to escape. And there's a realization in that you are sharing and have been sharing your space with something that is, well, buried even below the level of the beast that is sitting there and waiting for an opportunity. And for a brief moment, it slipped free and you saw it. And the most jarring factor is that it looked exactly like you.
What the hell was that?
You tell me?
Does Sophia know?
She was there when he was first taken for a ride.
I was going to say, is that the same thing that she already knew about?
Yes. Having grown strength over this time. And
I don't know.
Your sets, shares.
I don't know that I'm going to volunteer anything anyway, in typical Sophia fashion.
Was trying to possess me that was already inside me. And when I saw it, it looked like me. Did no one else see it?
I just saw the convulsions. I saw you fighting, whatever it was. But I didn't see what it looked like. And if you're saying it looks like you, then it's probably your darker self. Or some version of your darker self, quote unquote. And that's how it manifests to you. Other than that, that's why I said we shouldn't be in the parking lot. We should probably not be right here. And that I was having feelings. They don't feel right.
You're damn right they don't feel right. It looks like that whole place is being invaded by the spirit realm. Sophia, you're the ghost whisperer. What the hell is going on? Why am I seeing myself possessing myself? Why is that place being assaulted?
Who did you ask?
You.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that started with Hestia. One second while I formulate an answer. I do not know. The thing that is there has been there for some time.
What?
It has been there for some time. You did not know?
No. You knew?
Of course I knew. I thought you knew.
Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you
Why
bring
would
it
I?
up?
Why would I tell you something you already knew?
But I didn't know.
I thought you did. It tried to answer you once before. Well, I guess technically it did answer you once before. It just did not take over. It has been there all this time. You do not remember?
No.
Okay, before this turns into who's on first, can we leave, please?
That is fine.
Are they gonna be okay in there?
Does it see?
No.
No, we're outside
We're back
the
at the church.
Somebody's place.
Silvio turns back, putting his gun back away. They say they're fine. We're good.
Yeah, they should be able to deal with anything of this nature.
All right, then. If they're fine, let's get out of here and let's get this thing out of me, please.
I mean, we can try. It is not outside the realm of possibility.
I'd prefer to have my own body be mine.
I mean, it is yours. You're just sharing it.
I don't want to share it.
I
That's just
mean, in
very
the
selfish, Mitchell.
we typically would do an exorcism, but in the movies that rarely ever goes well.
Storyteller, would what we did to get the things out of Arsenio and the girls work for this situation?
That's a good question. Only one way to find out. Of course, those spirits had only had a few hours, a few moments.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, having a brain fart. The thing is, while that's really, really important, we need to get that out of you. You also just said, I'm pretty sure, that there is a huge hole torn in the shroud between the worlds, centered over here.
Yes, that is pretty much what I said.
Tessie looks at Sophia. That's not a problem?
It depends. It could be a problem. It could not be a problem.
Wait, is this sort of like the thing that happened at the shelter the night we met? or worse?
Yeah, but way bigger.
All right, so I can't do anything. Got it.
Shroud. At this time of year, at this time of night, in this part of the country, localized entirely above that church.
I mean, to be fair, it's probably not the only hole in the area. There are holes in the shroud all over the place. This is not like a constant thing. It's not like a wall exactly. It's more like a curtain. And in some places it is thin, and in some places it is thick. And in some places it is not at all. Like over the church there.
So we're protected by Swiss cheese.
More or less.
That's not comforting.
It was not meant to be comforting.
Thinking of comforting, you remember the touch of Arsenio's hands as he held you so strongly, so firmly against himself with whatever that was controlling him. Remember Stella and Faye entering in their clearly expensive bondage gear. That's the last time you actually dealt with a full tear. Not just a thinning, not just a weakening, but a full localized tear.
Alright, so the Samadi said they can deal with it, right?
They can certainly deal with it. I'm positive.
Okay. Because I feel like we would be way out of our weight class dealing with that. So let's get out of here. And deal with the one possessing me.
Fair enough.
Okay, I know this sounds really paranoid of me, and I really want to get out of here, but the thing is, how do we know that it was actually Boo and Felix speaking and not something that has taken over their body just trying to get us to leave?
I mean, we do not. Not that we know anything at that point. It's very existential conversation. It's are we here? What is the meaning of life? I mean, is the path you want to go down? We have no idea. We've never met the man before. It could have been anyone. Maybe that was not even the man we were supposed to meet. You have to take certain things on faith. Is the point. That's the point I'm making.
I tried having faith, and now that I can't walk into a church without feeling like my skin is crawling. So, there's that.
Yeah, it was not the faith that I meant, but you know what I mean. Some things you just have to accept that they are true because you do not know if they are true or not.
Okay, fine. Let's go.
Damn it, Hestia, now you have me worried.
Well, it's not like they gave you any mind-altering substances. It's not like they opened you up with a very physical manifestation of the act of taking spirits into yourself. And it's not like for the first time ever you all had the opportunity to engage in actual inebriation from alcohol that didn't require you to empty your gullet afterwards.
Should we go check on them, make sure they're alright, rescue them if they need help?
I assure you that they do not need our help. They are better equipped to deal with this than you are. The Somdi are as renowned in the family as necromancers as the Rossellini are. They will be fine.
I hope to whatever God made this world that you are right. Because we need them to be alive to hold up their end of the deal.
They will be fine, actually. The only way they can be more fine is if they were Nagaraja, but they are not Nagaraja. They will be okay. Shall we go then?
Whatever you guys say.
Yeah, we don't have long to get whatever that is out of Lucio or attempt to, so we should go.
And for the first time in quite some time, the Coterie as a whole turn their back on rushing headlong into a chaotic moment. They don't leap into the fire of whatever is taking place inside that church. And as they drive away, of course taking the streets at this hour instead of the expressway, because they have grown to be, for those not born here, local Chicagoans and understand the traffic patterns and how the roads move. While the speed limits posted are just suggestions, there is still a certain amount of congestion that one would not normally expect. And as they leave this terror and reality, as they leave the chaos of denizens from the other side of the shroud, freely making their way into this world, not brought by some necromantic sorcerer, not summoned by some wizard to do their bidding, not pulled forth from the depths by some far too brave and potentially too careless blood sorcerer. No, giving free access because something innocent, someone pure of heart has been sacrificed towards the idea of their greater good being their protections. All due to a dropping of their ward, a deconsecration of their space. And the Coterie heads north, leaving this moment, leaving this hole, and instead of summoning all of their previous reckless abandon and their wild, youthful exuberance to do the right thing for the world at large, they choose to do the right thing for themselves specifically. Because in this moment, they realize that what you allow in can do what it will, when it will, including simply bide its time. And as they come to grips with that reality and understand that they've invited quite a few things in, they have made alliances and pacts with things that are quite dangerous. And in the same breath as declaring a private, secret enmity with things that just are as deadly, if not more so. I'd like to thank you all for a lovely session. I look forward to seeing you guys during the epilogue. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. I think we might have just left them all to die.
It'll be fine. It's fine. Sophia knows what's going on, kind of.